All right, another film session. Time we talking about Mason Rudolph. Beautiful touchdown pass through to Diontae Johnson in the second quarter, right before the half versus the New York Jets. It was a beautiful play, beautiful pass, and we're gonna break it down. So first off, let's watch the play in full speed so we can see how everything plays out. Obviously, Mason right here. Diontae's up top. Juju in the slot. There's Vance and there's James Washington. You look at the Jets defense. Too high leg, they're going to be running a Tampa 2 defense, but they're going to be having traditional zone concept, zone principles under it. And yeah, got to talk about this. Got to talk about that. All right, so to start it out, as you hear me talking, you hear me saying that they're in a cover 2. So initially they come up with a 2 high shell, and we already talked about the difference between your regular cover 2 versus your Tampa 2. So basic cover 2 is he's over top here, he'd be deep half over there. These corners are squat technique, meaning they're playing everything short and aggressive, him and him. And then these three guys would essentially be over the number 2 receiver, the number 3 receiver, and the number 2 weak receiver. That's how they would diverse that up. But in this concept where they're running the Tampa 2, this safety right here has that deep hash. This safety has that deep hash. The corners are still playing aggressive on anything short. And this linebacker right here is going to be your middle runner. Now, your middle runner's job is to relate to 3, which is Vance McDonald. But if it was a 2x2, then he would open towards the speed, which would be Juju if Vance was over here, because obviously Juju's a faster receiver and more of a receiving threat. But the thing that the Jets do, this, in theory, it makes sense, but the execution was poor. They tell this safety right here, body position Diontae, but help early on number 3 because he's matched up on the linebacker, Vance McDonald versus the linebacker. So as we play this, we're going to watch how this guy right here starts his back pedal out of there, but then his eyes shift directly to Vance, and he ultimately leaves this corner on an island. But you can see the miscommunication because the corner plays in a technique that's very similar to what you would do in a basic cover 2, meaning that he's playing everything short and underneath aggressive, and he's going to be in a trail technique once the guy gets over top of him, anticipating this safety being here. But now watch the safety. Opens right now to Vance. He's seeing him because this is your middle runner. And right now, as we pause it, this is the issue. So you see how high he is, right? He's staying over top of number 2, and he can always get to 1. Corners right here. He's not really opened up with James Washington. That lets you know right now that he doesn't have the vertical carry on that. With this corner, I rewind it a little bit, but you can see also with him, he doesn't open up and start spreading with Diontae early because he's anticipating having some type of vertical help from the safety who should be over top. Now, this safety, like I said, he gets enamored right now with Vance as the number 3 because, like I said, it's on a linebacker. But by doing so, this guy never recovers because he's anticipating having that help over top. And Diontae is able to just keep going straight, and once he gets even with him, he leaves him. So as we continue to play it, right there, no help, touchdown. Whereas typically, like I said, that safety should have been over there with him to give him some help. But now let's watch this corner right here. Let's watch his footwork. So you can just see what I was talking about in terms of him playing this as if he's going to have hope over top. So he's already off. Ball snap. It's pedaling out of there, pedaling out of there. Right now, he should be opening up. He doesn't. And the reason why he's not opening up is because in this Tampa 2 style defense, typically, like I said, you have that guy over top of you, that safety. That's not playing as if you had a safety over. That's not playing like you don't have a safety over top. That's playing as if you did have one over top, and now it's too late. Now you're beat, and now it's a touchdown. I will say good job by Mason, though, recognizing that. Because as we see, like I said, once this ball gets snapped, the option that you initially want to look at would be Vance coming down the middle on this linebacker because it's the mismatch. So like I said, in theory, it made sense to have this safety having eyes right here, but he can't fall asleep at the wheel or get too enamored with Vance and leave this guy on the island like that. See right now, this dude's getting out of there early because he knows Vance is faster than him. Now, like I said, if this guy's sitting over here, you're gonna hit Vance. The safety wants to take that away. This is the one you go to. So I thought that was a good job by Mason going through his reads on that one, playing the 2-on-1 game on that safety, because whatever the safety does, he couldn't be right. But as a defender, you're always taught that you'd rather give up the short gain to Vance, or in this case, the 15-yard gain to Vance versus the touchdown to Diontae. But here it is once again at full speed. Alrighty, so the next play we're going to talk about, this was a negative play, but it needs to be talked about. This would have been the Devlin's second interception, the one that was in the red zone, where he's throwing it to Jalen Samuels. It was a bad play, but we're just going to talk about why it was bad and some of the things that could be corrected and some of the potential of this particular route concept. So we'll play at full speed first. See Jalen Samuels coming out to create a bunch. Man defense. See everybody flat across. Single high. All right, it's the interception. Okay, so let's talk about what happened, though. So first off, we know it's single high coverage. Initially, they come out with the little too high shell, but as his name morphs, we see these guys start walking down. It's Jamal Adams coming down into the box. The safety right here is over the top. You see right here, no help on his backside. So you know when you get these man coverages, bunch is great against man because it's going to cause these guys to have to communicate. It's going to cause these guys to have to get on different levels. And what you see right here, when I say different levels, this corner's up tight, right? This guy's a little bit off, so they don't run into each other. And then he's a little bit further back, so they all got space to play on these three guys. Okay, so it's important. We call it like lock and level. So basically, you lock the guy you're going to have, but make sure you're on different levels so we don't hit each other because these guys can do anything coming out the break or coming out the bunch. All right, so ball snaps. Initially, you see Diontae. He's the first one. He's getting jammed up right now. So as he's getting jammed up, they have some confusion here, which is why you like to run bunch concepts versus man defense, because it forces everybody to communicate. It forces everybody to be on the same page. When we look at how it played out, this is the guy that was off the ball. This is the guy that was directly pressed up close to Dion, and this is the guy that was over Juju. Now, Juju burst out here. This guy stays on Dion, but now this guy can't even get out here, and he's kind of in no man's land. This is the beauty of the bunch concept. Now, it was 3rd and 4, it looks like. So you have an option right now. In terms of you can pass it to Juju. Juju's wide open. This guy, he's too far away. He's not going to be able to get there. But it gets better. He gets confused and starts running back inside. That's the beauty of the bunch routes versus man defense right here. You have 3 guys on these 2, and one of them is a running back. You have Juju wide open right here. And if you don't like that pass, you got Diontae Johnson coming from the weak side because he's a man-to-man coverage. So when you're in man-to-man coverage, if you don't want to take the guy vertical, the drag route is always another one that's highly successful because that corner is playing outside in because you have to stay outside leverage because you know you have the middle field safety late. You know you have help late, but inside, not on the outside. So, you know, just off of leverage alone, you can win this. So you have 2 options right now. But Duck has talked about how he's gotten a little bit greedy in terms of his reads and in terms of the throws he's making. So right here, instead of taking the short bet throws that are still very high percentage throws, it can give these guys a chance to catch the ball and run. I mean, Juju catching it right here, it's a strong possibility he might score. Diontae, he catches it right here, it's a strong possibility he might score. But he gets greedy. You see he's enamored, where he has his eyes locked in on Jalen. Now, Jalen does have a step, but it's cloudy right here. Dion Kane is stuck. But Jalen does have a chance to get to this corner. The reason why I don't like this, though, is because as you see all these guys start to go, now the ball's in the air. That safety had his eyes on Duck the whole time, so he's breaking. Jalen isn't a big receiver. He's not even a big player in terms of height. So when you're looking at this potentially being a jump ball, I'm not a fan of the jump ball to a smaller receiver, a smaller running back. Now, also, we could talk about is the ball placement of this throw as well. And you see, just like last week versus Buffalo, on his interception to Tre'Davious White, where do we talk about the ball being? We talked about the ball being on the receiver's inside shoulder versus the outside shoulder. The issue we said last week was when you throw the ball to the inside shoulder, you give the breaking defender a chance to make that play. Ball on the outside, this defender has to go through Jalen Samuels, and if he goes through him, he's either going to get the pass interference call, or worst case scenario, it's a pass breakup. When that ball is placed on the inside shoulder, now this guy has a chance to make the interception. That's the difference in points right there. Instead of scoring 7 points or at worst kicking a field goal, now you're not getting any points out of this, and you're giving the Jets the ball. So those are some of the things that suck about that play. Now I know you're seeing Dion and you're like, oh, he's open too. He only was open because this safety was reading duck, and when he saw his hand come off the ball, he broke on it. Right now, if Dion breaks anywhere over here, this safety is going to collapse down on it right now. Got to have better ball placement, and we talked about that. And that's just something that Duck has to grow into. It happens, especially for young quarterbacks. But yeah, if you're going to make that throw, which, like I said, I don't like it just because you know you had two other surefire options available in Juju and Diontae. But if you're going to make that throw to Jalen, you have to have it on the outside shoulder. You put it in a place where only Jalen can get it, or it's incomplete. When you leave it up on the inside shoulder, that safety has a chance to make that play, and that's what he did. Because at this level, you're not going to run into a lot of guys who are going to miss on opportunities like that. College, you can get away with it, but at the pro level, the talent is too good. So let's look at this again. Yeah, Diontae went on the backside right now. Because even when they're bringing pressure, and it's not really pressure, it's just a green dog. And a green dog is when your defenders have coverage on a tight end or running back, and when they stay into block, you add. Vince Williams does a great job of that every time when he blitzes. You see these guys stay in, so they start hugging up. And if you see your guy not release, you add into the rush. It gives you a added, almost like a not a simulated pressure, but just a cheaper way of getting that extra defender in the rush like that. But like I said, just watch Juju. Open. That's where you go with it. If you're going to make this throw, this is the low percentage throw, but you have to be perfect with your ball placement. Unfortunately, he wasn't there. But the young guy will learn. And like I said, just a part of being a rookie in this league, man.